Welcome to Raise Nation Radio, the podcast for nonprofit movers, shakers, and change makers. We are here to fuel your passion with a daily dose of fundraising inspiration while keeping the conversations and connections from the annual Raise Conference alive all year long. Tune in for fresh perspectives, bold strategies, and the hottest trends lighting up the nonprofit world. Whether you're just starting out or a seasoned pro, buckle up. Each episode is packed with lively discussions, expert insights, and creative solutions to help you make an even bigger impact. Now get ready for another exciting episode. Please welcome your host from One Cause, Dawn Lego.
Hey Raise Nation, how are you? Welcome back. It's so exciting to connect with you on this channel. We just love our podcast and having you involved in all the conversations that we have with thought leaders and nonprofit leaders and the whole nonprofit community. I cannot believe that we are over 170 episodes. That's all because of you. Thank you for making the show so popular. If you're new, well, you have about 170 episodes to catch up on. But we're going to start with this one, and I think you're going to love it. We're going to talk about planned giving. Well, I know, sensitive subject. Who has time for that, right? We want to engage our donors, and that might be a little bit uncomfortable, but we have a really great way to make it comfortable, make it affordable, make it easy. I know all the things. They don't belong in one sentence, do they? Yes, they do. So sit back and relax wherever you're tuning in. Thank you. And I am so pleased to welcome to the show Ms. Stacey Miller. I had the pleasure of meeting her at AFP Lead. What was that, a couple months ago? Stacey, help me out. How long ago was that now? October. Okay. So it's been about 4 or 5 months. It was so lovely meeting you. We had an instant connection, great chemistry. We went out to dinner, all the things, like we were old friends, old family. And I'm so pleased to have you here at Raise Nation Radio. So welcome.
Well, thank you. And thank you for having me.
Yeah, well, we're going to get into it. I'm going to ask you some of the hard questions. But first, our Raise Nation wants to get to know you. And I know you want to get to know them a little bit. So if you wouldn't mind just introducing yourself, tell us your journey, Stacey, whatever you want to share personally and what you do at the Planned Legacy program.
Well, I'm the founder of the US Will Registry, and that's where my journey started with all of this. Back in 1997, my father passed away. Our family couldn't find a will. The distension and the divide in the family was unbearable. And not having a will and looking for a will, looking for a registry that had a will, it must be registered somewhere, wasn't to be found. I realized how important a will is to a family. Excuse me. What I did was I vowed to develop a will registry so that other families would never go through what we were experiencing. And there was the National Will Registry, which documents and securely stores the location of a will, and it helps families to search for a missing will. So I knew I was on the right track when I met with the American Bar Association, and they were all on board and said, this is long overdue. And sadly, like the UK, it's mandatory to register a will.
Is that right? It's not in the United States, but it is in the UK.
No, I'm working with legislation with the Bar Association with making that legal or mandatory because it's so critical and so many families are affected by not being able to find a will.
Wow. I'm a little surprised. I guess this is just not like coffee table talk, so I didn't know, but it's that rampant, that many people don't have a will, and if they do have one, can you give us some stats? Do you have any stats about that? I'd love to kind of get like the impact here.
Yeah, well, actually, shockingly, there's only 34% of people who have a will. So we're talking about a huge percentage of the population not having a will, including seniors, which is really sad. You have young people who have babies, who's going to be the executor of their children, God forbid something happens. And then you have seniors who are not, there's a bunch of barriers that are taking place for people not having wills. A lot of people feel that estate planning, going to an attorney is very expensive. They feel the process
Well, it is expensive, though. It is expensive. I mean, it's true. That's a fair statement.
the process is overwhelming. They feel like they're going to be overburdened with decisions, lifelong decisions they don't want to make right now. And one of the biggest misconceptions that I find is that people think they don't have enough assets to justify having a will. And that is so sad, because even your one car is going to be there's going to be a fight over who gets mom's one car, who gets mom's favorite necklace. These are the little things, the sentimental things are the things that get thought about the most.
Not necessarily the high value things.
Not
right.
always. Yeah. And so what we did was in creating a free will to the public at the time, we knew
free will. Wait a minute. I want to stop there. You created a free will for the public, so that mitigates that idea of going to an attorney and have it. Okay. All right.
Well, you know what were, you come up with this, a solution to one thing, and then you find out that there's another problem. You have this registry to register wills, and then you find out that there aren't enough wills out there. So in researching why and coming up with what were the barriers that were preventing people from making a will, we figured, well, what if there was no cost? What if it wasn't overwhelming? And, therefore your simple assets could be documented. So we made this a very simple, legal, online will that you can perform this in the comfort of your home. Take your time, think about who you want your pet to go to, who you want to be the executor of your children. It's very comfortable atmosphere.
I like that. Okay. So you said only 34% of the U.S. population have a will, but if they are part of that 34%, which is small, right? That's small number there. Not everybody registers their will.
Well, that's
not,
up to them. Yeah.
That's another problem on top of it. So that 34% is even smaller when it comes to trying to find the will. Is that right?
Well, what's interesting is that I thought, how do you get more registrations? I mean, they're free anyway, but how do you get more registrations? Well, you create more wills. Okay. And what happened was I decided that I wasn't going to wait for attorneys to register wills for their clients, that people needed to register their own wills. Now, people can register their own wills, but it was the awareness that wasn't there.
Right.
So when people go online and create a will through our site, it is highly recommended at that point to remind them, please register your will and please store it online. So there was a way for us to push registrations by creating the wills.
So, I'm shocked to hear the numbers, but, I shouldn't be shocked, because my husband and I recently went to an attorney to start our will process. And I'm going to be honest and admit that we didn't finish that process. Life gets in the way. We're distracted. The attorney told us how much it was going to be. Of course, it's important because I have 2 children, but it's just not a priority until it's a priority, right? And then sometimes when it's a priority, it's too late. So yeah, I think when I finish this podcast, I'm going to go do the right thing and do what I have to do. But let's jump forward a little, because I'm sure our audience is listening and saying, okay, this is impactful. This is important. I get it. But the tie-in with nonprofits, right? So this is super brilliant, super creative, super clever of you. And I couldn't get enough of this when we met at AFP Lead. You actually want to empower the nonprofit instead of Stacey Miller having this service with the US Will Registry. You're like, let me help nonprofits have this tool so that they have a way, and you're going to correct me if I get anything wrong here, but now with this new subsidiary, the Planned Legacy Program, you're giving nonprofits a way to offer free, let's underscore that, services to their donor base as a gift, as an outreach, as a touch point, which we know we need in the nonprofit space, because we can't just always have our hand out asking for money. We need to thank, recognize, give back, have some touch points. So you're arming nonprofits with this opportunity that they can start their own online will program, give it to their donors, and with that, they are starting their Planned Legacy Program, because the stats are pretty high that when they go through this process, they're going to remember who helped them get their will together and a donation is made. Did I get that right?
You're good. You can take over.
No. I'm not ready to take over anything. I want to sit back and listen. How did you what was the inspiration? How did you come up with this, connect it, and decide to be a servant to the nonprofit community? It's amazing, Stacey.
I appreciate that, but I can't take a full credit. I met with the director of the Make-A-Wish Foundation. I didn't meet with him. He's a friend of mine for a long, long time. And once I got into making the wills, he told me, my God, do you know that if a donor is making a will and there's a suggestion to leave a donation to the nonprofit while creating the will, it has a massive acceptance to it. And I said, well, how do you know? And he said, because we're doing that now. And the results were astronomical. So, of course, you know, I'm in the process of developing at that time an online will program. And I thought, being philanthropic myself anyway, I thought, how could I incorporate this and give to nonprofits at the same time? And this was just a perfect opportunity because my feeling was more or less, if I could make this affordable to every nonprofit, this would be my giving back. And what we found out, well, what happened is that we started to dedicate a page in our site to the nonprofit and leaving a message of a legacy gift. And it was just a gentle, no pressure ask. And it would go like, would you consider leaving a legacy gift in your will to support our cause? And a legacy gift ensures that our values live on and that it helps us to continue our mission for future generations. And what we find is that 25% and up of the people who create a will through a nonprofit organization will leave a bequest.
Huh.
That
Brilliant.
And so, brilliant. You know, this is just a way for a simple approach, and it transforms nonprofits to secure their long-term sustainable support.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. I'm putting my nonprofit hat on, right? So I'm a nonprofit. How do I work with Plan Legacy Program? Like, what is this that you created it to connect all the dots? And is it really affordable? Because, you know, there's a lot of nonprofits out there, and they're getting hit with tech and all very expensive things that they need to be doing in order to keep up with the way for-profit companies, their CRM, their event fundraising software, AI this, and resources that there's a lot coming. So is it really affordable? Like, what did you create? Let's get into it. Let's get into the planned. And then, do I have that right? It's Planned Legacy Program, right? That's a subsidiary from the US Will Registry. Okay. Right. So I'm a nonprofit. Tell me all about the Planned Legacy Program.
Well, what we do, you know, it's just a simple program. And
I like simple. Simple's good.
It is simple. It's a plug and play program. All we need is a link from their website to integrate with. And at that point, they just basically they'll do an email blast. They'll talk to their supporters, and they'll make them aware that there is something of it that we want to reach out to your family. We care about your family. You're part of our family because you're a donor. And as a part, we want to reach out to you. And what's interesting is that this is maybe one of the few opportunities in an organization where they are giving instead of asking.
So important, though. So important.
It's so relaxed because the focus is really not on legacy giving. It's on their family. It's on them being able to offer something to the family. I was at a function this weekend on Sunday, and the organization had implemented this program. And the director stood in front of everybody and talked about, ironically, somebody in their organization who passed in the past couple months. They found out he did not have a will, and she talked about, because she was close to them, and many of the people knew who she was talking about, the horrendous situation that was created because there was no will found. And she said that as a result, they have implemented a program to make sure that all their donors were able to create a will. No matter how much assets they have, you have to do this for your family. They talked about the dysfunction that happens with the family. They talked about the possibility that the state might take over your assets and decide how they're going to be distributed.
Oh, you just don't think those things are going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. People, the worst thing that I hear when I talk to senior organizations, and I get a big chuckle when it happens, I tell them, I know everybody thinks that your family will know exactly how you want everything distributed. And everybody breaks out in that you hear the whole room go into a war because they all know of a situation where it happened that nobody knows. And that's the end of the relationship. The dynamics of the family is over.
Yeah. So what I love about this is it's kind of building a community, in a way, and it makes the conversation about legacy giving with your donors much different. It's a complete game changer. We use that word game changer, but this is a game changer because think about it. Instead of saying, oh, hi, donor. So when you pass, will you remember us? Ouch. That's a little awkward, right? But now it's like, hi, donor. We'd love to give you a tool to create your will, protect your legacy, whatever you want to do. It's free. And you've been so good to us. We want to give something back to you. If you'd like to remember us along the way, by all means, but more importantly, protect your legacy.
Exactly.
I'm much more comfortable with the latter conversation than I am with the former conversation. And if in 25% of those conversations, I'm going to see a donation that doesn't sustain my impact, my mission, but it also protects your legacy. I love it. I really love it. So nonprofits can it's a plug and play. They just need a website address. It's really that easy. Let's talk about how easy it is because, come on, Stacey, nonprofits need easy. They have to think of so many things, right? Digital marketing and social media and AI and CRM and integrations, and their heads are spinning. So you've made it easy for them. What do they need to do?
What's interesting is that typically with when you're planning a plan giving program, you're faced with the legal and tax expertise people that you have to have available. You have to have a dedicated staff. You have to have marketing and outreach. It's overwhelming for a small to mid-sized nonprofit to even approach.
Right.
And then there's the issue of the return on investment because, typically a plan giving program starts at $10,000 to $15,000 once you hire all of these staff to be available. And so, again, the small to mid-sized nonprofits cannot even fathom that kind of expense when they're growing. Making this so affordable for organizations that have 1,000 donors or less, we charge $600 a year.
Oh, you're giving us pricing on the podcast. Look at this. Wow. See, we're not going to make you work for it. Stacey doesn't make you work for anything. Wow. That's fantastic.
Because, when people already know, they're already programmed to think that, when we have $10,000 to $15,000, we can start a planned legacy program. That
I'm going to do some math here. So let's say you do have 1,000 donors, right?
Right.
So, 1,000 donors, and you say 25% of the time, right? We got that. Let's say they leave $1,000.
Well, you're talking about 25% of the people who create a will.
25% of the people who create a will.
So
right.
All right. So you'll have 30% you'll have about 30% of the people 20 to 30% who will create a will of 1,000. And of those people, 25% will leave a bequest. So not everybody who writes a will leave a bequest. So you have, say, 25% creating a will.
Okay, got it.
And of that 25% will leave a bequest.
Okay, and let's say they leave $1,000. That's fair, right? It was probably light.
No, well, bequests average between $40,000 and $60,000.
Oh, so that's really light.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
so the return on investment is insane for $600. You have to raise your prices. No, I'm kidding. Sorry, guys. That's amazing. That's amazing. It's affordable and it's easy, and what a way to bring it all together. So what do you want nonprofits to know? Like they're your audience right now. Talk to them. What should they know?
That they no longer need to be afraid to approach this process, that this is something that, like you say, the biggest fear is the ask. No one wants to say, listen, when you die, please think of us, and I hope it's soon. No one wants to do it. And that's why it's not being done up until now. There's no one who was volunteering for that position. And so now it's a completely different approach. Okay. It's a gift. We care about you. And for the nonprofits, they need to look into it. The pricing is so affordable. This is the issue. Bequests also take, when you have wills, everybody doesn't die that year. So it takes time for those to come to fruition.
So stop right there. Raise Nation, it takes time. You need to start now, right?
Exactly. Plant those seeds, let those roots grow. And the fact that the pricing is so affordable, if you're spending $10,000 on your plan giving program, you're $30,000 in 2-3 years. Okay. Or if you're paying $15,000, but with this, it's painless. Okay. You can afford to wait. It's not cutting into your budget so much. But the idea is that once you get that first bequest and you get that $40,000 in that one bequest, and the next year you get two $40,000 bequests, it's a game changer. There's no way that small nonprofits can become mid-size, and mid can't become big without big bequests.
Yes.
These are the lotto tickets that they need to grow and expand. And if they don't get bequests, they're just going to stay stagnant and keep fighting for each event. They're game changers.
For sure. So that is your sweet spot, right? You really target your products and your services to the small and mid-sized nonprofit. Is that right?
Well, we do, because they're the ones who have run away from it. But the large nonprofits, many of them don't have an online program. And so while they're working on, different avenues, for them to have a program like this would be $40,000 to $50,000.
Yeah.
And so they know that. So they never even approach it, because if they were, Make-A-Wish is paying $50,000 to have this program, this same program.
Right.
Okay.
So it's leveling the playing field between the, sorry, I just hit my microphone. You're definitely leveling the playing field here.
Absolutely.
Amazing, amazing. It's so brilliant. We're so grateful for you to have sparked this thought and brought it all together, because you really could have kept marching along with the US Will Registry, but the fact that you brought it to this space is just remarkable. But you don't end there, right? You don't have this plug and play service and then say, good luck. You really work every day, all day on truly empowering the nonprofit. Like, here's an email template that you can introduce it. Here's how it could look. So let's talk about that. How do you support the nonprofit in this march to a planned giving program?
Well, there are ways for them to kind of market this. They should be mentioning it at their events. Like I just saw this weekend. It was amazing that when people walked out, I saw them going up to the director and saying, oh my God, I've got to go home and do my will. I've got to update my will. Their email blasts are very effective. Another thing that's coming up, we have in April, Advanced Directive Month, and people are supposed to...
Wait, April is Advanced Directive Month?
It's either Advanced Directive Week or month.
Okay. I didn't even know that. I should know that, but okay.
Advanced Directive Day, week, month, it's something to do with advanced directives. At that point, they can do an email blast and, mention, by the way, we're just here. We care about your family. We care about you. Make sure you have an advanced directive. In August is Make-A-Will month.
It is? Really? Is that true? Did you just make that up? It's true? Okay. I believe you.
It is Make-A-Will month. It's a time for everybody, again, to do an email blast, not saying, hey, we just want you to leave a bequest. It's, hey, we want you to know it's Make-A-Will month. We provide this for you as a free service. And then in October, it's estate planning week. Okay. And
I didn't know all these weeks were on the calendar. Thank you for enlightening me.
So these are just, subtle ways to promote it. and people should be, mentioning at their events how much they care about the family. And every event, just make sure if you have a will, update it. We make it available to you. We've invested in a program to invest in you. Make sure it's done. Give your family the peace of mind that it deserves.
Wow, Stacey, this is amazing. And you've been everywhere. You've been on podcasts. I know scheduling this took a couple of months. You've been at conferences. We met at AFP Lead and Raise Nation. I'm here to tell you, Planned Legacy Program will be at Raise 2025 in San Antonio, Texas. We're so excited to have you there. And truly, thank you so much for your sponsorship. Raise could not be the conference that it is without sponsors like you. So to our audience that's listening, if you're going to Raise, well, if you're not going to Raise, head over to the Raise website and sign up immediately. But be sure to stop and see Stacey and her team at the Planned Legacy Program. Can people sign up right then and there at the conference? Will you have that opportunity that they could sign up right then and there, or?
We book appointments while we're there.
Okay, great.
That we can go online and show them the program, show them how easy it is, show them the dedicated page that we make for them. And then they get a hands-on idea of exactly what they're signing on to.
Yeah. And your booth is always so much fun. You always have these great giveaways and great swag. And it's just fun to hang out with Stacey Miller from the Planned Legacy Program. Yeah, really good stuff. Well, I love what you're doing. I'd love to talk hours and hours, but we'll save that for our next dinner together. But how about we drop all the links? I know you have some really good blogs that just bring to light all the issues about wills, and you're such a great author and thought leader. Thank you for sharing your expertise and insights with Raise Nation and just with the community, and for everything, that you're doing. This really is the game changer. This brings a new life to game changing. So we'll get your website, your LinkedIn, all the things. We'll put them in the show notes. Raise Nation. Don't wait. This is an easy thing. This is easy. You shouldn't even think about it. It's a no-brainer. Any last words of inspiration, Stacey, to our audience? Raise Nation is all about your daily dose of fundraising inspiration. So what comes to mind when you're speaking to our audience about last words of inspiration?
I think just that this is just a great way for your organization to give back and thank your donors for their undying support.
Oh, Stacey.
No pun intended.
No, definitely no pun intended, but it's a beautiful thing. I know we're going to see a lot more of you. I can't wait to connect with you again at Raise, and to your community that you're developing, for sure. Great job. So if you need more information, Raise Nation, you know where to go, to the show notes, and we'll also connect Stacey there to the page so that you can reach her directly. But I think that's all for today. We will catch you next time on Raise Nation Radio. Thank you so much for tuning in. Fearless Fundraisers, that's a wrap for today. A heartfelt thank you to our guests for sharing their stories, insights, and expertise. And to you, our fantastic audience, for everything you do to build brighter tomorrows in our communities. We hope today's content inspires you to amplify your mission and grow your impact. Don't forget to join us for new episodes every Thursday, wherever you listen to your podcasts, or catch us on YouTube and on demand at onecause.com. And before we go, we'd love your help in growing this podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please like, follow, and subscribe to Raise Nation Radio. Share it with a friend, and please leave us a review so we can continue delivering content that inspires and empowers. Raise Nation Radio is produced in partnership with One Cause, your go-to for digital fundraising solutions that connect nonprofits with their donors and drive results. Visit onecause.com or scan the QR code to schedule a one-to-one with their fundraising experts and explore the latest tools and innovations to help you reach more and raise more. Plus, be sure to check out their extensive catalog of free resources to support your mission. All the links are in the show notes. Raise Nation Radio is inspired by the annual Raise Conference, presented by One Cause. We'd love to see you in person at the next Raise event in September. It's a 2-day experience featuring over 35 CFRE accredited sessions, dynamic speakers, and the latest innovations from our sponsor pavilion, and priceless networking opportunities. And while you're there, don't miss the Fearless Fundraiser Party, It's where memories are made and lifelong friendships are formed. Secure your spot today at onecause.com/raise. The link is also in the show notes. Until next time, thank you for tuning in. And as always, stay fearless.